Alright, quick update on Kadena. So, KDA is going down against both its USD and BTC pair today. It seemed like it had a pretty big capitulation down on this wick, about 14%, but now it's bounced back. Are we in the clear? Are we about to get rejected and pushed back down? Let's talk about it. The first thing that I noticed from this that I do want to highlight by removing all of this data is the fact that we do have this big M pattern breakdown. We did have a massive push down from this level, and now we're coming right back up to retest it. You can see this is absolutely beautiful, perfect textbook M pattern breakdown, come back up and retest it. So at this moment in time, $2.30 is the price to beat. But even if we do push above $2.30, we still do have a plethora of resistance. If we zoom out, you can see, I'm going to get rid of some of these drawings just to make it a little bit easier. Get rid of this and get rid of this. But you can still see we're in a very steep downtrend. And even if we do take out this line, very huge macro downtrend at this moment in time. EMA ribbons are still converging to the downside on us, while the price is kind of just lollygagging to the side at this moment in time. There's a decent amount of selling volume coming in. The momentum indicators are resetting at this moment in time. I would just like to highlight the last two times, and this could potentially be the third time we were resetting momentum, we just built up on another bearish wave. So that is definitely something to take into account. There are a few charts external to what's going on KDA that I'm going to be talking about towards the end of this video. But looking at the USD pair, tiny bit of volume has stepped in. Really nothing special. This volume candle is pretty much already done, and it doesn't rival the amount of selling volume that we had, but we are pushing up. We are trying to push up. Or yeah, this was just under 17k volume traded. This was 18.5k. So the sellers are definitely more in control than the bears right now. But Bitcoin just had a massive capitulation, and now it's bouncing back. Once again, you can see we moved all the way down. We actually broke below this structure, and if I mark this, or if I make this dark, you should be able to see a lot better that we're literally just kind of trading to the side. So it's very boring. I don't think until we have a daily close outside of this structure that, you know, Bitcoin or the altcoins are going to do anything whatsoever. So bear in mind 30,600 and 28,600. These are the prices to beat. Until Bitcoin decides that it wants to move above or below, then we're really just trending to the side, and we probably shouldn't expect KDA to do too much on the USD pair. The BTC pair, slightly different story, which we are going to jump into. But once again, like I've been saying, if you've been watching my KDA videos, I've been covering this since $6.50, and I'm not a long-term KDA bear. In fact, I have been saying since $6.50 at some point I do want to pick some up. But at this moment in time, let me mark this a different color so you can see it a bit better. But at this moment in time, you know, the downtrend is perfectly defined by these 4-hourly EMA ribbons. Every single time we come back into these, we get rejected, break up, M pattern down, didn't break above the invalidation point, McDonald's pattern right to the downside, once again, break down, back test, and once again, we've really just been flopping. And at this moment in time, we're coming into the 4-hourly EMAs to backtest them. I really don't care what the hourly EMAs are doing, because it's just filled with fake outs all the time. You can see fake out before the breakout finally happens. So I really don't care about the hourly EMAs whatsoever. I'm not really the type of trader who capitalizes on hourly time frames and lower time frames. I really like to the lowest time frame I really consider is the 4-hour, unless I'm going to be making a leverage trade, then I'll check out lower time frames. But for this, I'm really trying to buy the breakout of KDA, and I've been saying this since $6.50, but the time has not come, in my opinion. You know, since I started covering this, we're still 65% down. So congratulations if you found my channel when KDA was at $6.50, and you've been sitting on the sidelines like myself, because when we do finally decide to enter the market, we are going to be having a huge discount compared to the people who were, you know, buying the dip, buying the dip, buying the dip, who have pretty much been wrecked the whole way down. There's not really too much to update. You know, we haven't really made a big move. KDA is literally sitting at break even today. We're pretty much just lollygagging from the past couple of days. But just like I said, you know, here, just like I said here, you know, while you're below the 4-hourly EMAs, there's not really a bunch of bullish signs to talk about. And considering we've broken down, we found support on this green line, we're going to find out what that is in a second, but we're coming up to the EMA ribbons once again. Until you get above these, you know, at least $2.48, there's really not too much to talk about for KDA. So if we zoom out, because we bounced on this trend line, this was the previous all-time high back in May 2021, so I guess it makes sense that this would be at least a short-term area of support. If we do come back down and capitulate below $1.93, then in my opinion we'd be having a very nasty drop. And I've been saying my price target for KDA is all the way down here between the regions of $1 and 78 cents. Why am I targeting these regions? Well, there is a plethora of touch points within this region, and a plethora of reasons why I think that we're coming down here. Number one, $1. This is not backed up by a price target. This is backed up by the psychological level. A lot of people are going to be keeping their eyes on $1. I imagine, you know, long-term investors, people who are willing to sit on the sidelines like myself until things turn back bullish in our favor, are going to be sitting on the sidelines waiting for this $1. And when I said kind of waiting and sitting on the sidelines like myself, bear in mind I have never bought KDA, I've never sold it, I've never leverage traded it, I've never touched KDA in my life. I've been covering it since 650, and I recognize that we were bearish, and I do want to buy at some point, but I'm not going to put my hands out and try and catch a falling knife, is what I always say. So, you know, until something changes here, then my opinion is pretty much unchanged for KDA. That is basically the USD pair. Like I said, this support zone, $1 is the psychological level. We have a 3.618 Fibonacci coming in at 89 to 90 cent. I believe, yeah, this is from this previous low to this high before we capitulated at 650. So I've literally been having, you know, I originally had the 1.618 target, then we moved over to the 2.618 at $2.85, and now I'm talking about the 3.618 sitting at around, you know, that 89 to 90 cent region. Also, you know, we said the first two touch points. The last line in the sand is this macro 1.618. And what's beautiful about this as well is you extrapolate the trend line from this 1.618 Fibonacci retracement level. This perfectly lines up with the bottom that we had before we ran up. So you've got touch point here, 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 touch point here. You know, we consolidated into this, and once we broke above it, it was, you know, massive bull trend started. So I think this green box has a plethora of touch points, a plethora of Fibonacci's, and it's just going to be, in my opinion, a good target to keep your eyes on. So like I said, I was predicting this for quite a while, but a 69% drop is what we talked about in the last video. Let's see what we've done so far. We've moved down about 13%, not including this big wick. If we were including the wick we moved down on today, it'd be 25%, but at this moment in time, 13% down from the last video, so that is always good. That is basically KDA versus the US dollar. Let's check out KDA versus Bitcoin very quickly. What you'll also notice on this, I'm going to make this pretty quick fire, but you can see M pattern breakdown once again on the BTC pair. So what's going on Bitcoin and what's going on the USD pair for Kadena is really not deviating. They pretty much seem to be the same chart. On the daily, you're basically at your EMA ribbons, and on the 4-hourly you're literally touching them, which is very similar to what's going on KDA USD. I mean, these are pretty much the same chart. You know, we have the same volume, we've got the same we've got the same momentum indicators. The squeeze mom tried to flip bullish on the BTC pair, which is, or it is flipping bullish, quote unquote, which is something that we haven't done on the USD pair. But this was only really pushing up because we had this run back into the EMA ribbons. And I always talk about these bunny hills when you see these pushes into the EMA ribbons. Look, I won't even look at what's happening on the squeeze mom, but this is what happened when we ran into the EMAs. And if we look at the squeeze mom, you can see bunny hill up, you come into here, you lose bearish momentum. This was the same loss of bearish momentum. This was losing bearish momentum. This was losing bearish momentum. And a lot of the times you see these baby bunny hills And when you don't get continuation on these, you completely capitulate, and that's what we're seeing right now. On the daily time frame, the price is rolling down since we switched over, and this is why you're seeing this flip on the squeeze mom is absolutely flat, and it really does seem like the time for KDA against Bitcoin, and more specifically against the US dollar pair, are probably going to capitulate. What are a few other data points which do back up my theory that KDA is going to decrease against Bitcoin? Well, looking at the Bitcoin dominance on the weekly time frame, Bitcoin dominance is breaking out of this channel. It's having a huge rally today, up 1.5%. What does this mean for the altcoins? Well, let's take it back a step. What happened in 2018 when the Bitcoin dominance was consolidating a pattern? This was the bull market top. Coming up when we were breaking out, I believe December 2018 was the bull market top, and you can see Bitcoin started to push up and the Bitcoin dominance went up. It went from 35.5% all the way up to basically 74%. This happened because people were losing interest in altcoins as we were entering the bear market. People were entering a more risk-off phase. That's why they were selling their altcoins, buying Bitcoin. And basically what we saw back here, because I was here back in the day, I didn't have enough knowledge on altcoin BTC pairs. I really just looked at the charts on exchanges and stuff like that. But now I'm checking out these altcoin pairs, and it's much more important in my opinion to check out what's going on with these altcoin pairs when we are entering a capitulation phase. And I think this breakout that we're seeing now on the Bitcoin dominance is very akin to what we saw back here when we were entering the bear market. At this moment in time, while Bitcoin is just lollygagging, the altcoins are getting decimated against Bitcoin. This is what we're seeing on Kadena. You know, zoom out to the weekly time frame, make it a little bit more clear cut for you. You can see we're getting absolutely wrecked against Bitcoin. This chart is not bullish whatsoever, so in my opinion it doesn't make any sense to pick up any KDA until Bitcoin has a bottoming pattern. We're below the 786 on the BTC pair. KDA against the USD has also long landslided below the 786. So it seems pretty black and white. That is pretty much the KDA video for today. As I said, my price targets are unchanged from the last video. $1 and the 80-cent target are collectively what I'm kind of planning on having play out for KDA over the next couple of months or so. So this would be about another 64, approximately 65% drop from where we are right now. That's all I've got for KDA. Remember, the trend is your friend until the end. If I'm wrong and we do break out, that would be completely fine. I would be buying the breakout trade. Bear in mind, the breakout of the breakout trade would be cheaper than when I initially started covering at $6.50. The idea of my KDA trade is not to assume I know where the exact bottom is, because I do, contrary to belief, I do not have a crystal ball. I do not know the exact date we're going to bottom. I do not know the exact price. I'm simply looking at this from a probability perspective, and the trend is your friend until the end. Once again, I am not assuming, or I'm not trying to buy the exact bottom on this. In fact, I will not be buying the exact bottom on this, because I will be buying it after it has a bullish breakout, and until that happens, I am sitting on the sidelines. So all I've got for you for KDA today. I hope you found some value in this video. As always, Cowboy out. Peace.